Hey guys, welcome to today's video. Last video I made was at the start of the coronavirus pandemic. I was talking about how there was going to potentially be a recession and how we should all be holding on to our jobs and saving some money, and we are now well into coronavirus and everything is 10 times worse, so that's where we are right now. However, I did just want to make a quick video today about a new scheme that has come out, which is the withdrawal from super due to COVID-19. Now, I've seen a lot of even my own friends expressing interest in releasing some money from super because of this scheme without really understanding the full ramifications of doing something like this. So I made a little list of notes based on some of my thoughts around this. So first of all, what is the scheme? So basically the government realised that a lot of people are struggling, they're unemployed, they're losing hours, and they wanted to give people the chance to take some money from their super, $10,000 before 30 June and another $10,000 up till the 24th of September in the new financial year. So a total of $20,000 that can be taken out of super to help fund daily expenses. Now, this is intended for people who are going through financial hardship due to COVID-19, so they've either lost their job or they're on some form of Centrelink payment. So to be eligible for this scheme, you must be an Australian citizen, permanent resident, and there are a select few temporary residents who can access this too. You must be unemployed or be eligible for job seeker or a select few other Centrelink payments, or this year you have been made redundant, your working hours have been reduced by 20% or more, or you are a sole trader and your business was suspended, or there were reductions in turnover of 20% or more. So if you meet those categories, technically you can take out this money from super. Now, to access this money, you would apply through MyGov, which is the portal that you would use if you have ever done a tax return for yourself online. I haven't personally logged on to see what the application process looks like, but from what I've heard, it's quite easy, possibly too easy in my opinion. Now, the Treasury has estimated that a total of 1.5 million people will apply for this scheme. Now, that to me is terrifying. Why is it terrifying? Well, let me get into my thoughts. So my thoughts on this scheme, overall, you shouldn't do it unless you absolutely have to. I'll get into that a bit later, but first of all, I want to look at the idea of this scheme overall. So I understand the government have been putting just ridiculous amounts of money into helping people through this process, which has been really, really good. And this is just like an extra added benefit if people want to access it. But I do think the only problem with this scheme is that it disadvantages the future retirement opportunities of those who are in need. So people who have lost their income, who are financially disadvantaged, they're withdrawing from their superannuation, they're losing out on their retirement assets just to get through the week, whereas those that are still in employment are likely more well off. Their retirement is not being affected, so it inadvertently disadvantages lower income or no income Australians, which makes me concerned because I'm already not sure that we're going to have a solid pension system by the time we reach retirement age. And by withdrawing this super, and I'll show you the numbers in a minute, it's just completely cutting the amount of money that we're going to have to retire on, which is a scary thought because already our age pension system, I would argue, is probably not enough for a lot of people. And I doubt that we're going to have anything that solid in place by the time we get there. So the thought of young people essentially robbing themselves of future retirement opportunity is quite daunting. So here's a quote from Charlie Munger. He said, "The first rule of compounding is to never interrupt it unnecessarily. Right now, even though your superannuation balance might be small, it is compounding, it is gaining interest, and it is growing slowly but surely over time." So what seems like $10,000 right now would actually turn into a lot more money in the future. Let me actually just grab the numbers. One of my good friends, Glenn from My Millennial Money, shout out Glenn if you're watching this, actually did up a little table of what $10,000 means. So if you are currently 20 years old, taking out $10,000 could have an overall impact of $309,000 on your total retirement assets. So this means that if you take out $10,000 now, you could be $309,000 worse off by the time you retire. If you're currently 25, This could be a loss of $207,000 to your retirement. $300,000. So obviously this graph isn't an exact projection. No one can assume how markets are going to go or what the future looks like in terms of superannuation, but this assumes a 10% return per annum, 2% inflation, and no tax has been included in this summary. However, it does give you an idea of what a huge impact $10,000 can have. And obviously, if you are taking out a further $10,000 after the 30th of June, it's even more horrific. And this goes the other way too. If you were to add $10,000 to super, you could be increasing your future retirement amount by $300,000. It's absolutely insane. Not to mention that the market is currently pretty shot right now. It is improving, but it's a lot worse than where it was, say, even 2 months ago. If you're taking out money from super now, you are locking in those losses. You can't get that money back. If there's ever a time to take money from an investment, it would be when the investments are doing well, not when they're doing poorly as they are right now. And superannuation is an investment. It has hundreds of investments within there. Now, a lot of people say that they want to take out their money to invest it in their own name. To that I say, just save the money, find the money elsewhere, take your time and do it yourself. You're actually worse off by doing that because any earnings that you make on that $10,000 investment will be getting taxed at your marginal tax rate, whereas inside of super, it gets taxed at a maximum of 15%, of which your tax rate is likely higher than that. Now, I know there are also a few people who are wanting to take out the money and are applying for that without actually meeting the requirements and are getting away with it because the government aren't asking for proof that you have suffered as a result of COVID-19, but the ATO have actually come out and said that you should keep records and documents to confirm your eligibility, as they may ask for this information in the future, and there are penalties for making false and misleading statements. So if you're thinking about rorting the system, this is not a game you want to play with the ATO. If you can avoid playing games with the ATO, just do that. Just don't do it. Also, if your superannuation balance goes below $6,000 and you have insurances in there, high chance those insurances might get cancelled. Just putting that one out there as well. So overall, there are a lot of reasons why you shouldn't take the money from super. We do have a good retirement system, we have a good social security system, but it can only go so far. If we can avoid stretching it to its absolute limit, we will all be better off because of it. This scheme is for people who really need it. Now, when do I think it's okay to take this money out? Let me go into that. When you absolutely need it. If you have exhausted all other options and this is your last resort in order to get through the weeks, get through the days, like completely just, if you need to do that, there is absolutely no judgment. If you are out of work and you get a job in a few months' time after all this has died down, maybe you want to look at making some salary sacrifice contributions to superannuation to make up for the loss. The crazy thing is that I read here that 46% of people who said they were very likely to access their superannuation early had not yet lost their employment, and 40% of them lived in a household with income over $100,000 a year. So my fear is that a lot of people who don't need the money are taking the money, and it won't be until they are old and struggling that they're going to realize the mistake that they have made. So just another thing to note, if you have taken that $10,000 out already and you're watching this or you've been reading things and you think, oh, you know what, maybe I shouldn't have done that, or maybe I shouldn't have taken out so much, maybe consider recontributing some or all of that money to superannuation. Not to mention, you can claim a tax deduction on any amounts that you do put into superannuation. So if you want to put $5,000 back, you can claim that as a tax deduction against your income. Is this a strategy that I recommend people do? No. I have heard of a lot of people who are taking out the $10,000 who don't really need it and they're just re-adding it and claiming a $10,000 tax deduction. I would again say don't play games with the ATO. I think they've actually come out and said that they're going to be implementing punishments for people who do this. How are they going to assess it? I don't know. But all I know is that's a game I don't want to play. Assuming that you have lost income due to coronavirus, you're likely to get a decent tax return anyway. So just don't. We're just not going to go there. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope it was helpful. My way of seeing these things is that it's easy to get caught up in the now and what you want now, but we also will have to suffer the consequences when we are old, and it's not as far off as it seems. If there's anything else you guys want me to talk about, please let me know. I do have a small list that I'm trying to get through at the moment, but I'll be sure to keep posting and keep in touch. Let me know what you guys are thinking. Thank you very much. See ya.